Hi, everybody. How are you today? So, I am coming to you live. I am Yvette McQueen, MD, a global physician on a mission to educate about health, travel wellness, and disease prevention. So, this is part of my Physicians Around the World series. And today I'm the guest. Yes, so I'm going to tell you some of my mission stories. So, some of my other traveling, but I wanted to bring to you about missions. So, once again, I'm an emergency physician and travel doctor. So, I have been an emergency physician for the last 20 years, working in emergency rooms, first in a couple hospitals. And now, when I say travel doctor, I say I travel around to different emergency departments in the United States and Caribbean, and I work as a substitute doctor. Okay. So that's what I do. And as far as emergency physician, I can take care of everything. I say everything from birth to death, from preemies, or I hope not preemies, because then I'll be like, oh God, I can't handle it. But from children to senior citizens, and anything that walks in the door for emergency medicine, that's what we have to take. So I feel comfortable taking care of various situations. So that's what's primed me for the missions. But believe it or not, my first mission was not medical related. And actually, my first mission wasn't until probably 2000. It was 2004, where I went with my church. So a lot of people get some mission experience, like with their medical school or while they're training, but I didn't have that option with my medical school. So I belonged to a church in Jacksonville, Florida. It's now called Hopewell. At that time, it was the First Baptist Church of Mandarin, but it is in Jacksonville, Florida, 3990 Loretta Road, Mandarin area. Shout out to Hopewell Church. So my church had been going to Malawi, East Africa for years. My pastor had gone there for years. They had a missionary set there. They funded the employees there. We actually had one of our members. She had went to missionary school and was actually living there and directing our what we call our Mandarin to Malawi mission, where they worked with Bible studies. They went out to the villages and helped the women, teaching women to read and write, because in the villages they either don't go to school due to money or funding, or because of cultural reasons, the females weren't educated. So we were teaching the females to read and write because that was one of their desire. The church was also helping to not build churches, but they would build their own church. So the whole thing about missions is we don't go over there, we don't take over their life, we don't change their life. We kind of help them and subsidize them. So they were able to make their own bricks. They were able to fund their churches. The problem with they could not purchase the tin for the roof of their churches. So you think, okay, they can. My pastor went along and saw all these churches, and they have roofs, or they have thatch roofs. So if they had floods or rainy season, they a lot of times they couldn't actually hold church because it would rain inside the church and they wouldn't meet. So we would actually fund tin, the actual material tin, to put on the roofs of the church. We were able to help a couple of villages build some wells with donations from the Jacksonville community, and that's what our mission was about. Also, if there was like a flooding or famine, we would subsidize anyone that came to the mission office to help them with feeding their families. So that's what my church did. So when I was a member of it, and I said, well, you know what? I think I want to go. They didn't have a medical component, but I was like, I'm okay. I just want to experience missions. So one of my friends is on here, Dr. Shanika. She says she loved mission trips. And we've talked about this, and I'm gonna have to. We're eventually gonna go on one together once we start traveling together, traveling again out of the United States. But she has gone on several too, and so I'm gonna have to get her on another show at another time talking about the missions. But so I went on this mission, so I said I'm gonna go. And we get prepared, we pay our money, we get our itinerary, and they give us some instructions of what to do, what to take, how to behave, and your clothing, because it is not America. It is not the United States. It's a different environment. So, and also we want to respect their culture as far as dressing appropriately, especially as the females. We also noted that we would take supplies. So we build up supplies during the year, the church would, and take over there. We took supplies to the children in an orphanage, games like footballs or soccer balls and flip-flop shoes. We would take school supplies like pencils and crayons and writing paper. We also made packs for our females. In the previous years, they had found out the females in the villages don't get to go to the city and buy nice things for females. So we would buy them the nice, things, toiletries that the females wanted, and we would pack them in a Ziploc bag. We did that prior, and we would take over in different like Foot Lockers or cases. So when we got ready to go, they said, look, everyone can have 2 check bags internationally. One bag is going to be your clothes, and the second bag is going to be one of the Foot Lockers that we take for supplies, and we're resupplying, and some of it's resupplying our mission workers there and their families and things they need that they normally can't get, or things they can't get at a reasonable cost. Because sometimes if we send things there, like if they need a computer, of course, a laptop is extraordinary cost there, or we can't ship it there because we're afraid that it won't arrive there. So sometimes we just carry things that's requested. So that was planned. So I got ready, and I'm ready. May have my bag packed, and so we actually had to have I think I already got like 6:30 flight in the morning. So that meant we had to be at our church like 3:30. They took us to the airport, and I got ready to go, and I said, I'm not going. And my niece was with me. She's like, what do you mean you're not going? You said you were going on this mission. I was like, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm too afraid. Me, the travel doctor, I was afraid. Now you got to remember, my first international trip was when I was 14 years old. I went over to Switzerland, Germany by myself. So why am I afraid to get on a plane with a group? And I think it was 12 of us that year. And go on a mission. I have no idea where that fear came from, but I had not traveled transatlantic since I was in high school. So, like I said, I went and visited a pen pal back in the days when we wrote letters in Switzerland, Germany, when I was 15 years old. And I hadn't traveled internationally since. I had traveled like to Caribbean and a couple other places, of course, flown, but not transatlantic before. So I told myself, I'm just going to call them and tell them I'm not showing up. I paid for a ticket. I paid for the hotel. And we're talking about some money I paid, and I was going to back out. My niece was like, get over yourself. You're going. She's my barometer. So we arrived there, and everyone's there, and we, clustered together and prayed for the trip, and prayed for each other, and prayed for what we were going to do. And after that, I felt at peace. Got on a plane. Now we flew from the United States to Johannesburg, South Africa, because we had to go that way. Of course, that's like an 18-hour flight. That was my first experience having an 18-hour flight. Interesting. And you would think, oh, I'm gonna get bored. How can you do it? Actually, I didn't. I kind of enjoyed it. we sat there and we either watch movies, and they feed you all the time. Feed you. You walk around, and or you fall asleep, of course. Now I'm going to tell you already, you know me as a travel doctor, I'm going to throw some medicine in here. When you're on long flights, to avoid blood clots, that's what we want you to do. Avoid blood clots. The best thing you can do is, one, stay hydrated. You hydrate before, you hydrate during, and hydrate after. So you stay hydrated. If you stay hydrated and drinking water, you're going to have to get up and do what? Pee. That makes you get up out of your seat. So actually, when you're choosing your seats, you want to decide, do you want to be on the window or the aisle for long flights? So that, do you want to be able to lay your head on the window, or I'm talking about non-first class. I was flying economy at that time. Do you want to lay your head on the window, or do you want to be on an aisle and people disrupting you all the time? So I actually, I can't even remember what seat I was in. I was not in the middle, I know that much. So, but you do. I got up, I will watch a movie and remind myself to get up, and they let you, as long as the seatbelt sign is off, you can walk up and down the aisles and do your exercise and make sure your legs are moving and staying hydrated. So we went to Johannesburg, and then we had to spend a night in Johannesburg because of the way the flights were to Malawi. There's only one flight in and out in the morning, which that was an opportunity to experience another city that I would have never gone. I would have never thought to go to South Africa, but I did, and I enjoyed it. And we toured a little bit, and I enjoyed it. Actually spent 2 days. So we toured it. And then we took a flight to Malawi, East Africa. So that actually was my first trip to the motherland. I had never been to Africa. So my first trip was in 2004. And man, it was amazing. As soon as we land, we were welcomed. Even though, like, our missionaries, that our employees that work there, they didn't know. They were like, "Oh, we were here, you were coming, and we know who you are," because we had sent pictures, and they knew who we were, and they welcomed us, and I loved it. I loved it. So yes, South Africa is very beautiful. I think all of Africa is beautiful, in each country. My guest previously said each country is a little bit different. They each have a little different flavor, and that's what I like about it. So, and here I go. I'm staying hydrated. Okay, so water. So we got there and we got settled in the hotel, and we got to meet the members. And they said the first day we got together and we made our plan. So the next day we actually had to do some organization, because during that weekend, my pastor was going to preach. And there was going to be like a big revival just on an empty field. So we had to go out there and set it up. Man, the countryside is beautiful. A little dry, but very beautiful. The city of Lilongwe is a little packed and condensed, but it was just like a total different experience for me. If you've never experienced it, I suggest anyone just traveling a different culture and just knowing that it's a different culture and different experience. But I felt welcome and warm. And actually, I remember one of the things that really hit me the most was when the villagers said to us, "I am so glad to see you. I'm so glad you have come from the United States to see us and to see how we have church, because we get missionaries," and they get lots of other missionaries. They said, "We get missionaries, but we hardly ever get missionaries that look like us." I was like, "Whoa, now that's a telling right there." They said they don't get a lot of missionaries that look like them. So I was like, wow, I feel really blessed to be able to come over here and represent Black Americans. I really did. So that was and during that time we had the revival, and we visited the different churches that we helped roof, and we visited some of the villages where the women were reading, and they read to us to demonstrate how far they've come along. One village, they were so happy we were there, they gave us a chicken to take back. With us, of course, we gave it to one of our members. Where we named it. We had to tie the chicken because we were like going like a good 45 hour outside of Lilongwe. We had to tie the chicken to the roof of the van we were in to bring it back, and we was like, here, take it home to your family. So that was a joy. That was a joy. So that was 2004. I went back again in 2006 because we go every 2 years. We had been going every 2 years. So I went back in 2006 for the same event and it's adding more. Each year was adding more, adding more. And of course, I felt blessed. And then you go, oh, I'm at home, and like people live, like there could be 10 people living in a house that's probably as big as my bedroom here in the United States. And I'm like, I feel overprivileged. I feel overprivileged. I tell you, when I got back from the first mission, I think I didn't buy anything for like 6 months because I just felt that guilty. And then I just had to internalize it and say, you know what? God put me here for a reason. One, I have a mission spirit to do things, but I guess I know that I don't know that I couldn't live there. But at the time of my life, at that time, I was not able to live there because of responsibilities here in the United States. So I said, my best thing is to stay here in the United States, continue my craft of medicine, help them with medicine, and I can always fund and send things over. So when I went back the second year in 2006, I went back as the team doctor. So then the ding, ding, ding. See, this is where it all came back to travel. Like, I'm a travel doctor. I know what I'm doing. So I went back and I was actually the team doctor, the mission team doctor. So I was the one making sure that prior to them going, that everybody was medically okay to go, their medicines was in order, things we were going to do. I knew some of the activities, if people could do the activities or not. I actually carried over the medicine bag, and I had the extra medicine bag to take care of the teams, whether it's from just a cut or a Band-Aid to Benadryl to, allergy medicine, things like that. I was the mission team physician. And that's where I started my travel medicine business was with my church. Thank you again, Hopewell. Thank you. So from then on, I went another year. I want to say 2010 or 2012, but it was in 2014, the year before, we do the planning the year before, my pastor came and said, Yvette, I want to actually have a medical component to this. So by this time, before we were just visiting, we would stay in a hotel and visit to the different villages each day. Well, by this time, we had been given a piece of land in a town 45 minutes outside of Lilongwe. It's Doa, an area called Doa, Dowa, Doa. And we had built on this land. So we built a school, we call it the Village of Hope. And we built where it's for Bible studies. We give Bible studies for the pastors and ministers in the area. It's for our local women to come for their teaching, reading and writing teaching. And also we built a tailoring school. So we want to be able to give back to the community in the country. So we actually built a tailoring school, hired some teachers and instructors, followed all the guidelines of the country to have a tailoring school so that we can, the students, their tuition is subsidized by either gifting or scholarship, where we teach them a skill, a trade that they can use to fund for their family. And tailoring is something that is very useful in that country. So I think we've graduated at least 3 classes by now, might even be 4, maybe some of my comrades can let me know. But I know it's definitely 3 classes, if not 4. It's a 2-year tailoring class. So by this time, so we had built that. So by then he said, look, we have facility, we have a building, we can actually hold a clinic for the days that we're there. And I was like, a clinic, really? That's just going in, throwing some Tylenol at people. That's not helping the community. A lot of people feel like, okay, if I'm just there for 3 days, you're, you you're having that savior complex. And that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to actually, and I know that's not where my passion is coming from. I know he's coming from his heart. So like, well, let's research and do this, which is great. Yeah, we did. We researched it. We actually got in touch with the district hospital in Doha. We got in touch with the physicians there, and they said, and I said, would this be helpful if we were there 3 or 4 days at our facility and be able to host a clinic? He was like, oh my goodness, yes. I said, are you sure? He was like, yes. And he's like, if you come here, what it is if people go to their hospital, they still have to pay. So the average income, most of them are farmers, but the average income you may be about, if you translate, about $30 a month. So that's about $1 a day. So if they have to go to the hospital and see a doctor, and the doctor is not always there, a lot of times they see the nurses, and they see the doctor, have to pay medicine, they're paying about $1 to $2. So that's taken away from their monthly budget. And they said, yes, and this is what we need. So he gave me a list of, these are the medicines we need. This is what we need for you to bring. If you can bring some equipment, we can use this. And we got a list. And we was like, well, when we're there, not only do we need translators, we want you to be with us. This is not us coming just doing, we need you there. So we make sure we had one of the local doctors there. We hire some of the local nurses to help us out, to go along, because people will have their record. It's like a little pamphlet book, and they bring it and they translate it and tell us the diseases and the medicines they're taking. So we set it up, we arranged it, we got the system going, we translated some of the medicine. We did bring vitamins for all the children, because one of the things is nutrition. There is not, if they're in the village, they're lacking a lot of protein nutrition. And they have a high mortality rate, and that means they have a high death rate between the ages of 0 and 5. And those are the ones that we want to help to spur along. So if we can help with nutrition, so even if we can give a month to 2 or 3 months supply of vitamins to boost them up, boost their immune system up, that's great. We also supply people with like a month or 2 months of their medicine. So if they're taking hypertension medicine and it's costing them $1 a month, at least we can help them with some medicine that way. So we would see people, and there was a lot of times people, they just came to see us because they wanted to see the American doctors. So the first instance when they introduced us all, they were like, oh, and I had some nurses, and I think I had a nurse practitioner with me, but I was the only doctor with them. So they introduced it, and this has happened the years before. They're like, oh, we're here from the United States, Florida, and with us this time is our doctor, Dr. McQueen. They will look at me. First they will look at me, and they look, what? She can't be a doctor. And then, so one of the people was like, is she a witch doctor? And they're like, so we always had to be like, she's our doctor. No, she's not a witch doctor. She's a medical doctor. And they're like, but she's a female. And they're like, yes, we have females that look like you that are doctors in the United States. So that was a joy. And especially with the children, they were like, I really felt, once again, a representation of Black Americans to them. And not only that, just also by being in a profession they normally don't see us in. So that was good to be there. So we hosted a clinic for 3. We was only going to do it for 2.5 days. And so many people showed up, and the word got out that the Americans were here. They have a doctor, they have some nurses, they're giving out medicine. More people will come. I mean, one day we rode up there and there was, people on carts and oxen had brought there, and they had spent the night there. We end up extending it for an extra day. We did 3.5 days just to get through people. And we would tally up. I can't even remember the amount of people we saw within 3 days. And it was a joy. It was a joy. And I felt fulfilled. And the chief came to us and thanked us. The medical people thanked us. And they said, and if we had left, and we had taken supplies like the blood pressure cuffs and the thermometers. And if we had whatever supplies we had left, we left it there. So we gave it to the district clinic, or it was an orphanage next door. We gave some of them. And that's the stipulation too. So there are, if you're thinking about doing missions, there are here in the United States different avenues to get medications. What we call mission medication. They are not expired. We are not taking expired medicine over there. So if you want to do missions, there are companies where you can get medical or medicine, and you get it at a cost, or they give it for free. But the whole thing is you have to leave it there. So anything extra, we did. I mean, even with our church, we would have people donate like Tylenol and Motrin, children's Tylenol and children's Motrin, and the vitamins and whatever we had left. We usually never had vitamins left over. We left it there along with any of the supplies. We weren't bringing anything back. We weren't bringing any extra blood pressure cuffs so that they could use it. So we had a medical mission. So like I said, our church goes every 2 years. So was now incorporated in our mission team that there will be at least 3 days of this medical clinic, along with our other things as far as visiting the churches, visiting the reading programs with the women, mentoring with now our tailoring students. So each of our students are paired with one of our church members as a mentor. So one year we went, and the tailoring students, if they were senior tailoring students, actually made an outfit for their mentor to take back, or if we were there. And yes, they can make an outfit in a day. We got there, they measured us and made us an outfit. And by the time we was ready to leave 2 days later or 3 days later, we had an outfit. So it was very rewarding. I went 2 years later. I think I had to skip 2016. I went in 2018, of course, with the church. And of course, this is 2020. It was our year to go. And actually, it was our 20-year anniversary. It was our 2020 is a 20-year anniversary of Hopewell Church, or Mandarin to Malawi, going to Lilongwe, Malawi, Adowa. We also combined with other churches. It's not just our church, Light of the World. So I'm giving a shout out to our pastors, Pastor Gary Williams and Pastor Ernest Berrien. They are the spearheaders of the Mandarin to Malawi mission. So that was my first mission experience. So it was not medical related. 2004, but when I came back, when I came back to the United States, I was like, oh my goodness, that's a mission. I felt so great. I was like, let me get a medical, because at that point, Hopewell wasn't doing the medical mission. So I actually researched, and there's lots of medical missions out there and lots of companies out there. And I actually have found one where, thanks everybody for joining. I'm glad you enjoying the information. So I found one with a company out of Littleton, Colorado. And I went to Burkina Faso with them. So Burkina Faso is in West Africa. It is listed as one of the poorest countries in the world. And we actually, once again, went there for clinic, but it was a clinic established. We went with a physician, brings over doctors from different countries, whether it's United States or Belgium or whatever, about monthly. And so they had worked it out with the the company also, and they also supported a mission there, orphanage there, because we stayed on the orphanage in the village and drive an hour to the clinic in town every day. And once again, you one bag is your clothes, one bag is the supplies that you check. We brought supplies, we brought medicines, we brought other during that time. I think they since they were supporting the orphanage, they had sewing machines shipped there and school supplies, of course. So we would go to the clinic during the day, and in the evening we would be with the children. And it was not so much an orphanage. Some of them were orphans, but in their village, the surrounding villages for the children to get education, they would send them there, and it was more like a boarding school. So half of them was orphans, half of them was boarding schools where they actually had families back in their villages, but they stayed there to get education. And we would eat with them and play with them. And then we actually did all their school physicals right there on campus there, which was a treat. And I enjoyed that. I went back a second time with them when I'll find the link to it all and I'll put it in later. But yeah, we went back a second time, and actually I took one of my medical residents at that time. I was working for the University of Florida, and one of the medical record residents, training doctors, went with me. I wanted to introduce missions to other people, and he went with me. So I did that. Other missions that I have participated in, I've gone to Thailand. It was a program with the University of Florida, and one of my mentors in emergency medicine, he still goes every year too, where they go to Thailand, and he goes to northern Thailand, where he worked. We did, once again, stayed on a boarding school. It's a boarding school. We worked with a lot of the underrepresented immigrants to Thailand, and we gave them school physicals and took care of them. So I really enjoyed it. So what is the greatest value of my missions work? I feel that here in the United States, I mean, I do love medicine. I love taking care of people, even though medicine has changed a lot in my 20 years. It's changed a lot. It's a little bit different, and I'm getting paid for it. This one, I'm not getting paid for. I feel like I can actually provide something to the world. I'm providing something to the world every day as a doctor, I know, but I'm giving a little extra. So not only do we take supplies, but it's also representation. Like I said before, people said don't get missionaries that look like them, or they didn't know a Black female was a medical doctor. So if that give people inspiration and motivation, that I feel is a great, because I always feel like I come gain more than I actually gave to people on my missions. So if you're interested in missions, like I said, United States is not traveling right now, but that's something to look into. And there's loads of companies out there, whether it's mission work from building to teaching, with the children, or to there was one mission that I looked into that was helping the female prisons in South America that had to be canceled, because I was looking at, it's one company I know called Flying Doctors of America, that hopefully I will get to go with them at some point. And that's what missions are. A lot of people take their families. I know, like I said, I hadn't experienced it until I was an adult, but some people make it a family vacation. There's such thing as the vacation mission. So that's what you get. Someone asked me, what do I feel I pay them? I understand your question. Do you feel you should pay them? Do I feel that I should pay people to go on their missions? So some of the missions you do pay them, but you're paying for the expenses. So if you really investigate the company you're going to and look at what their budgeting is. So we pay them, as far as I pay for the trip, because we are paying for expensive of the airfare. We're paying for to stay there and for them to feed us. You got to remember, a lot of these places we're staying, particularly if you're staying on the campus of the boarding school, they actually have to come out of pocket. So not only are we giving free care, but we don't want to actually be a burden to them. So investigate where you choose to do with your mission to see that, and most of it is administrative costs that you have to deal with admissions, or you can just form your own, or you can come with me with my church to Malawi, Hopewell, where you're actually just paying for your expenses and whatever you choose to bring. So I will, and if you're interested in donating to any of these organizations, once again, I'll put the links. And this is going live for Facebook and for YouTube, and it will be on my podcast. Make sure you subscribe to my podcast, A Global Physician on a Mission, and is on Apple, Spotify, and Google Music Play. So I hope you enjoyed. I went a little bit over my time. I hope you enjoyed my experience, my first experience is my mission, and what spurred me to do more. Once again, I am Yvette McQueen, MD, emergency physician and travel doctor, a global physician on a mission to educate about health, travel wellness, and disease prevention. So if you want to reach me, you can reach me at www.yvettemcqueenmd.com, on all social medias, Yvette McQueen MD. And I'll follow up on some of those links I give you that I'm going to put in the chat after I finish, okay? So enjoy life, travel well. Ciao for now. Peace.